What's up, guys and gals? Today is October 19th, 2019. In this video, we're going to decode the first ever all-female spacewalk, which was completed yesterday, October 18th, 2019. And decodes involving NASA are some of my favorite to do. However, they're also some of the most taxing because the National Aeronautics and Space Administration really loves numerology. And events such as this, where two women go out on an all-female spacewalk for the first time, is extremely coded by the numbers. And in this video, we'll explore that, both looking at dates on the calendar, how they relate to this numeric ritual, and also the language of Gematria, also pronounced Gematria or Gematria, the ancient practice of coding numbers into words. And in this video, we're going to be looking at both the alphabetic order, as well as the reduction method, also known as Pythagorean Gematria, and Jewish Gematria, which is also called Latin, as this cipher is based in the ancient Latin alphabetic order. You'll see here more modern English characters, J, the modern V, and W placed at the end. So let's dive in. First, we need to understand that we're going to look at the numerology of the two astronauts involved, Christina Koch and Jessica Meyer. We also need to understand that this ritual relates to the first ever female spacewalk conducted by Svetlana Savitskaya, a Russian cosmonaut, back in 1984. We'll also touch on the numerology of the ISS, the space station from which this spacewalk emanated. And we'll also look at the numerology of President Trump. Now, not only is there this story being lobbed around, but we also got a big story about Donald Trump, who called these women while they were on this spacewalk. And this is definitely part of the ritual. In his call, Trump mistakenly said that this was the first time a female has ever done a spacewalk, which is, of course, a mistake. That's been going on for over 35 years. Let's begin with yesterday's date. October 18th, 2019 had primary numerology of 67, 10 plus 18 plus 20 plus 19. In Jewish Gematria, the word female equals 67. Now in English it equals 42, and we will look at this as well as the 24 in the next section. Also understand that in English, all female sums to 67 in ordinal. Now 67 is a prime number. Here we see it's the 19th prime number. Remember earlier this year we had the Women's World Cup. And this event began on a very significant date. See how it started on June 7th. The date written 6/7. And it was the year 19. So the word female, 67, the 19th prime number, the World Cup beginning on 6/7/19 for the women. Well, if you measure from that date, June 7th, to the date of the spacewalk, you find it was exactly 19 weeks later. In Jewish Gematria, the word spacewalk, summing to 1090 and 91 in ordinal, the inverse. Something else that's significant to these events is total solar eclipses. And if you watch my work, you understand that I mention these in virtually all my videos. The spacewalk was a span of 109 days after this year's total solar eclipse. And in reduction, total solar eclipse equals 67. The other numbers here are significant too, but we're not going to get to everything. This ritual is just far too coded. Now, if we instead measure to the next total solar eclipse, Notice how we get a span of 1 year and 58 days. In the alphabetic order, all female spacewalk equals 158. However, this same duration, measuring from the date of the all-female spacewalk to the next total solar eclipse, is also 424 days. This stands out because the word female equals 42 in ordinal and 24 in reduction. Last year, I did a blog post on the first ever all-female pay-per-view by the WWE. Notice how the WWE was 24,402 days old on that date. This was another example of a tribute to the gematria of the word female. Now, back in March of this year, I did a post on the all-female spacewalk because this was originally scheduled to occur on March 29th, but it had to be pushed back over 6 months because they didn't have a spacesuit the right size for Anne McClain. Now, if you measure from the date that this spacewalk was supposed to have occurred to the date that it did occur, you see it was a span of 204 days. This brings us to Svetlana Savitskaya, who completed the first ever female spacewalk on the date July 25th of 1984. If you measure from that date to the date of the first all-female spacewalk, check out, you get 422 months and 24 days, more 42s and 24s. Also interesting, this woman is from Russia, which sums to 42 and 24 in reduction. And just to confirm that this riddle really does run deep, on the date of this first ever female spacewalk, look how old the two astronauts who went on yesterday's spacewalk were. First of all, Christina Koch, born January 29th of 79. She was exactly 2004 days old. Meanwhile, her counterpart, Jessica Meyer, was born on July 1st, which means that this was 24 days after her birthday. By the way, you have to appreciate the January 29th birthday for Christina Koch, 129. Astronaut 129. But there's a very deep riddle here. Check out Jessica Meyer's birth date, July 1st, written 7/1. Well, this stands out because Svetlana Savitskaya, this Russian cosmonaut, was born on August 8th of 1948, meaning that on the date of this all-female spacewalk, she was 71 years and 71 days old. As I mentioned in my first post, this spacewalk was originally scheduled for March 29th. Notice how March 29th of this year had primary numerology of 71. Also, this is the 88th day of the year. The word feminism equals 88. And look at the birthday of Svetlana Savitskaya, the 8th of August, the date written 8/8 in both Russia and the United States. This brings us to Donald Trump, the airhead who is really just the media's stereotypical portrayal of a man. Donald Trump does not represent men or the actions that we like to take. This guy is an actor, and he is meant to essentially steer people's opinions of men in a negative direction. Donald Trump was born on June 14th, Flag Day of 1946. This means that he turned 880 months old just this week. The name Trump equals 88. in ordinal. Of course, he's friends with Vladimir Putin. Vladimir equals 88, the Russian president. But back to the word feminism, which sums to 88 in English. In Jewish gematria, feminism equals 219. Well, here we are in the year 2019. But we need to look at NASA's date of establishment. Notice how NASA was formed on July 29th of 1958. This means that measuring from NASA's anniversary to the date of the all-female spacewalk, it's 2 months and 19 days, just like the word feminism. This is significant for another reason. This also means it's 9 months, 11 days before their next anniversary. This number is significant to the divine feminine code, which equals 911. Also worth pointing out, the 24 in reverse to go along with the gematria of female. I also noticed this 78 in reverse reduction for divine feminine. Christina Koch, 78. Jessica Meyer, 78. Svetlana Savitskaya, with the S exception, 78. Remember, it's the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry running NASA, 78. There's definitely a riddle here with the age of the ISS, measuring to its launch. But I want to get to this 227 code. Now, in my first post about this spacewalk, I talked about how significant the number 227 was to this ritual. If you add these two astronauts' names, it sums to 227. That's a number of Freemasonry. The date that they wanted to originally do the spacewalk was March 29th, written 329. Well, the 329th prime number is 2207. CNN's headline gave us a 2207 in primes. 227, the 49th prime number. These two women, their birthdays were separated by 4 months and 9 days. The spacewalk was scheduled for 4 months, 9 days after the ISS's anniversary. So 227 was a big number here. Well, then we found out that Anne McClain, her spacewalk was scheduled, so she had to be replaced by Nick Hague. And look how old Nick Hague was. He was 2,270 weeks old on the date of the spacewalk, March 29th. Well, Anne McClain couldn't make it on this spacewalk either. Instead, they went with Jessica Meyer. And look how old Jessica Meyer was on the date of her spacewalk. She was exactly 2,207 weeks old. Amazing, isn't it? The first ISS crew even went up to the space station 227 months before this date. Notice how the word spacewalker equals 227. And I wouldn't have brought this up because this is in a different cipher, the capital letter cipher. But there's other numbers that are very significant here too. First of all, the number 42, Jessica Meyer is currently 42 years old. 66 is the gematria of Jessica in ordinal. And her full name equals 183, which is the reverse value of spacewalker. So it does appear there's a little riddle there. Furthermore, her birth date leaves 183 days in the year. Now this 227, as we just explained a little bit, is related to Freemasonry. Ancient accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry gives us 227. Ritual and symbolism, 227. Well, the capital G of Freemasonry, in the capital letter ciphers, has gematria of 13 and 33. When you add the names Christina Koch and Jessica Meyer, in Jewish Gematria, it sums to 1333. There's definitely a riddle with the beast code here. For those of you still unaware, somehow, National Aeronautics and Space Administration equals 666 in the reverse alphabetic order. Now, when you write out 666 or triple sixes, you get an ordinal value of 156. This number appears in the gematria of both International Space Station and Christina Koch and Jessica Meyer. And what most people don't understand, I think, or don't realize, I should say, is that the ISS was launched in 1998. Well, if you take 1998 and divide it by 3, you get 666. So the launch of this space station in that year is very suspicious. And also consider that Beast equals 47 and 11. ISS equals 47 and 11. And if I'm not mistaken, there's also a riddle with the 198. Yeah. Well, maybe. Now I'll take a look at that at a different time, but ISS 47, Beast 47, the date of this spacewalk, also with numerology of 47. And again, I wrote a little bit about the narrative here. You know, it's sad that people are squashed for saying this these days, but throughout our entire history of humans, men have been the leaders. And you're never going to hear like the anti-feminism stuff from me, because I think there's some good in it, but there's also some bad. If women want to get out in the working world and chase their dreams, I'm all for that. Like, there are people who will say, no, women shouldn't work and this and that. Look, again, you won't get that from me. However, there is truth to the fact that men have been the leaders, and there's a strong push by the media to get women into jobs that seem manly, security guards, things like that. And it's like, no, that's not necessary. And this is all about taking our understanding of the world and ourselves and flipping it upside down. And this is pretty much with anything, as above, so below. So for them to say that Donald Trump's error, and again, Donald Trump mistakenly said that this was the first time a woman has done a spacewalk, and that's not true. But then they label it as man's error, and this is just, again, a war on the man. I don't know. I don't want to get too ranty, but it's pretty clear what's going on. But yeah, I just wanted to point out the very obvious numerology that's behind this ritual. All you got to do is watch a couple videos of people breaking down the ISS footage. And it's clear these people are acting, and they're not in a space station. Whether or not there is a space station up there in low Earth orbit that can be visited, I don't know. I would bet against it. There might be something up there, but far too many questions surround NASA and the bullshit that they feed us on a weekly, if not daily basis. All right, so I'm going to end this video there, guys. Thanks to everybody who jumped in. Yes, you can literally see the ISS. That's why I said I'm not sure that it's there. There's pictures of it. You can certainly snap that. Are there astronauts in the ISS right now? That I have a lot of questions about. Again, go on YouTube, see, I'm not the only one who thinks this. Teddy, I think you're the one who's been commenting on my videos recently, expressing incredulity at some of my work. Again, is there something up there revolving around the Earth that's shaped like the ISS? Possibly, right? There's been amateur photography of that. But is it some place that people can visit and where they conduct science? That I do not necessarily believe. Again, watch the videos for yourself of the astronauts in the International Space Station. Watch the fact that they have wires connected to them often. Their hair, the way it stands up, is totally unnatural. I know it sucks, you know. So I don't know if you're a troll or what, but again, see, I think you are a troll. Now I'm starting to wonder if you are a troll because you're telling me to get a telescope. Dude, that's not the issue. I'm not debating whether or not you can see an ISS with a telescope. I'm debating whether or not you can actually visit it and conduct science there. That's the question. Forget seeing it. Seeing it is not proof that this is an operational space station. But I appreciate everybody looking into it because there are lies and deception surrounding NASA. And again, look into it for yourself. All right, so now I am going to cut the video there. Thanks to everybody for jumping in. Peace, love, God bless, all that good stuff, and we'll talk to you next time. See ya.